Okay, hi. My name is Lauren Johnson, and I'm from Soda Clothing. I work on the wholesale and merchandising. I'm also the CFO, COO, but that's kind of just a big fancy title for a small company. As you know, when you're in a small startup business, you wear lots of hats. So I also handle hiring, HR, paperwork, accounting, payroll, all that other stuff. So Emma asked me to do this webinar to talk about wholesale and selling to other customers, whether it be big box stores or smaller mom and pop shops. At Soda Clothing, we have about 80 wholesale customers throughout the state. We have some customers like Shields who have multiple stores outside of Minnesota, and for them we do some custom graphics. Because it wouldn't really make sense to sell Soda Clothing in Iowa. So to get started, let's say you have a lead for a big box store and you want to send them a sales pitch. I'll start out by saying that I haven't had to do that a whole lot. One thing about Soda Clothing was that we grew very slowly. My brother started it, and so he did a whole lot of marketing around Soda Clothing, and he marketed it to his friends on Instagram. It was a very slow growth. So by the time I came on, he had 4 wholesalers, and I just helped him manage them. Relationship wise and introducing new products. And then from there, we really had a lot of wholesale. Grew word of mouth, and then people were coming to me. So then I really had to send them applications and review them. But being on the flip side and trying to sell your product, what I think people are looking for are usually 3 things that your product needs to hit like the nail on the head in order for them to want to buy it. The first 2 are pretty obvious. I think, well, not obvious, but it needs to be trend right for them. It needs to be something that fits within their assortment, whether it's very fashion forward or it's a basic. It needs to fit within their trend curve. Needs to be the right price. And so however you're selling your products needs to fit with how they're selling other items in their store. So if you have a really nice $35 t-shirt, it's a basic, but everyone loves a good t-shirt, but they're selling their t-shirts at $20, their customer might not understand it. And if you're not priced the same, then it's just not going to fit within their sales goals and their budgets, and it's kind of probably fall flat, right? Right at that. Like if they can't afford it, they're not going to buy it. And then the third thing that might be is whether they're looking to buy in a certain quantity, they're looking to have it manufactured somewhere specific. There's could be some other thing that they're looking for that your product needs to fit within. So one example I have is we had this guy who made it was leather loft in Northeast Minneapolis. He was a really nice guy and he makes great stuff. So he came to us with this leather bag. It was beautiful and it sold for $185. We sell $26 t-shirts and $59 sweatshirts. My customers aren't going to understand a $159 bag, even though it was made in Northeast Minneapolis, made in Minnesota, good stuff, genuine leather, beautiful. Like, me as a person, I love it. My customers didn't quite understand it. So I agreed to sell it consignment in our shop, and it just sat there for 4 weeks. And then finally I gave it back to him and I said, look, I love this bag, but I can't sell it in my store. What I can sell is a $15 keychain. Can you make a keychain that is at like a $6 cost for me so that I can sell it at 15? So then he went back and made some prototypes and then sold it back to us. And we've been selling, we probably only even had it in the store for a month, but we've already sold 10 keychains versus the 1 bag. So that's kind of a long story short. But so you're trying to sell your stuff to a big box retailer. You have your catalog, and to maybe you're going to write an email or you're going to send a letter, but do some research as to what's in their store. What are you selling that fits within their store or their assortment? Where are they going to merchandise it? Does it go at the cash wrap? Does it go within the women's section? Does it go within the like seasonal items? Kind of like, you need to make it easier on them to know where your items are going to go within their store. Even better yet, if you have your own way of displaying it or way of merchandising it, a visual merchandiser is a complete another job, because I mean, that's just not an easy thing to do. So if you're already making that a no-brainer for them on how to merchandise it in a window or on a display, or it comes with its own display, you're making their life easier, and it's easier for them to say yes to you. I mean, that's kind of like how on the sales pitch side, what I would recommend. The hardest part is even just getting a audience with someone. So if you have connections, use them. I would say if you have a friend of a friend who you can just pitch your stuff to anyone and anyone, they might not be the right person, but they might know someone who is. That, I mean, you got to use your connections, and you got to sell it to just about anyone, and it's got to be easy to sell. I mean, hopefully you believe in your stuff too, so selling it maybe isn't the most fun part, but it's something that I think should be maybe practiced and just done constantly. Because the easier it is to sell, the easier it is for them to believe in what you're selling. So if by chance you do get a purchase order, then now you've got to like work on all these terms and agreements. So a bigger box retailer like Target or REI are going to send you a whole bunch of vendor compliance forms. It's going to be a mountain of stuff to fill out, but you only have to do it once. And then once you're set up in their system, purchase orders should start flowing through. So if you can get past the paperwork and you've negotiated a discount, how I feel about discounts is I don't really like them. I think your product should be priced right from the beginning. It's just easier on me knowing that I'm giving the same price to everybody. I don't have to like manage a whole spreadsheet of so-and-so gets this price and so-and-so gets that price, and you get a different price for a bigger order. We do small orders, same discount. So you don't have to make people invest thousands of dollars into your items just to get it on their floor. We do $250 minimum order for our wholesale. Sorry if I jump back and forth between being the customer versus being the vendor. But we do $250 minimum orders, and that way people don't have to invest a whole lot. They don't need to buy a whole size run of just one sweatshirt. They can buy something just for themselves and see if their friends like it, kind of wear it around town, test it out. So if you offer discounts, that's fine if it works for you. Target and REI are going to expect that you do offer a discount. And so that's something that you kind of have to decide beforehand. Is it your goal to be within these big national chains, because they have to be price conscious, and you're going to have to sell to them at a point where they can make up enough margin that they have to mark it down. So when we worked with Target for a brief stint in their Nicollet Mall location, they required a 2% discount. So it was fine. We can handle that. And it wasn't a long-term relationship. So I don't like to do discounts. I just like to offer things as is. They're priced right and they should sell as they are. And I hope you don't have to mark our stuff down. But again, it happens. I think REI because they're also a co-op, they had some other discounts built in. There's definitely a couple different tiers with it. I think in total it ended up being an 11% discount because they give their members a discount. Like by being an REI co-op member, you get a discount, just flat like that. So they automatically have to take everything down by that percentage. So again, if you want to work with them, they're kind of the bigger fish, and you're going to have to you're going to have to decide whether or not you want to. So we have a question. What are some things that you had to do to figure out selling to big box stores? Okay, there's a lot. So one of them would be barcodes and UPCs, otherwise known as GTINs. There's a whole lot of different UPCs. That's the scannable tag on your item that will talk to their point of sale system, and it's their inventory, and it rings up $29. So that's this anywhere from 12 to 14 digit code. So with Target and REI, we didn't have UPCs or barcodes, so it was part of our negotiation that they had to come up with UPCs for us. That was definitely another step that isn't normal, or they didn't appreciate, but I think working with some of the smaller brands was also marketing on their part, and they knew that they were going to have to help us out to help us grow. So if you're going to work with a big box store, they expect every SKU to have a UPC. And we went to the gs1us.org website. You can buy, I think it's like 1,000 UPC codes for like $2,500. Don't quote me on that, but it's it's a big expense. And if you don't have you can buy different quantities. I think you can buy like 500 for $700 or something. But that's something that other retailers are gonna require you to have so that they can input that item right into their system, and then the price point and everything is just popping up. So either you ask them to make it for you, or you have to go out and buy your own and assign it to all your different items. They're also going to send you a master merchandise spreadsheet where you put in all the information about any item you're selling them. So that would have your vendor style number, your UPC, your description, your color, the dimensions of the item, what it's made of, any like selling features, the weight, the like you name it, it has to go in there so that they have all the information about your items to begin with. And then they're able to set it up in their system because they require all of these, all of that knowledge about the items that you already have. Another thing that we had to figure out were the payment terms. So with our wholesale customers, majority of them buy stuff off our website, and they pay by credit card. And so then we don't have to deal with collecting payments afterwards. With big box stores, they're going to expect terms. And that basically means they get an X amount of days to sell your items before they pay you. So this kind of covers their butt in that they're gonna sell your item and then they'll pay you 30 days later or 60 days later or 90 days later. It just helps their cash flow. The backside is you don't get paid as fast. So Target wanted net 90, and us being a small company, we just couldn't operate like that. So we negotiated to net 30. It was kind of the same with Shields. They wanted net 60, and we negotiated back down to net 30. If it's a regular enough customer and you're getting orders every month, there's only that initial lag time, and then you're getting paid once a month. You're just getting for the order that came 2 or 3 months ago. So if you can manage it, it's fine. And big box retailers, we've never not been paid. So that's not an issue with them. There's definitely smaller businesses that I've agreed to do terms with and didn't get paid from them. So if you're gonna do terms, definitely do a credit check on them and references to see if they pay their bills. Target and REI, you don't really have to worry about it. I guess there's always the chance that somebody's gonna go bankrupt, but that's the chance. For smaller shops, could you do 50% down? Yes. I guess my question would be, what is your, how big is this order? because for us, if it's $250 and you are only going to order $250, I'd expect you should be able to afford to pay for that. If it's a $2,000 order and someone doesn't have, the full $2,000, you could do it, and it's all maybe on how much you can manage. So if you're a one-person show and you have to worry about collecting payments after your order gets shipped out, that's just one more thing on your plate. If you can manage it, then go ahead and do it. But I would say if you can collect payment before it ships out, that's just one less thing that you have to think about after the fact. So anything's negotiable, I guess. If you wanted to try stuff out, like, go ahead and ask. Like, there's no white and black rules, I guess. Like, some people are very flexible and or very open to new ideas. Maybe big box stores are the ones that are a little bit set in stone because they've got so many other people that they work with or that they have to answer to that they can't just change the rules on a whim. But if you're working with smaller companies and smaller shops, you can work with them if they're willing to work with you. That would be my advice there. The one last thing when working with big box stores that we had to figure out was fulfillment, and whether you're EDI compliant, and then how you're shipping to them. So a lot of them would require that you have a scannable barcode on the outside of the box that tells you everything that's inside the box. So REI wanted us to package each SKU individually. So if they ordered one t-shirt, 5 different styles, and it was like 2 units a size, sorry, 1 t-shirt, 5 different sizes, 2 units a size, that's 5 bags that could easily go in one box. But they don't want a mixed box. They want them individually so that you can scan it, you can see that there's 2 small Fergus Falls t-shirts in there, and then they put it away. So there's a whole logistics thing in there for you to have to figure out. There could be better ways to be doing that. I'm not saying that's the only way. If you can figure out a way that your barcode shows exactly what's inside the box, that's the most important thing. And I'm not a fulfillment expert, so I don't really know about that, but that was the way that working even with people on their team, that we came to the conclusion that what they would need from us. So I think they even only had, I think their order was maybe $1,500, not big by any means, when Target's orders were $20,000. But with REI, we probably shipped like 30 individual poly bags to the same location, when they could have, with any other customer, that would fit within 2 boxes. So you're gonna, I guess there's things on whether or not you're shipping straight to a store or to a DC, how automated they are, logistically that has to be worked through. Finally, even if all this isn't within your catalog, maybe this is something you can write in an email. Oh, we have one more question. Do I need to have product in stock to sell it to a wholesale client? That's up to you. But if you don't have your product in stock, I would definitely have a sample. They're going to want to touch and feel it and see the product quality before they buy it. So if you don't have it in stock, you should have a sample for them to show. And if it's not in stock, you should be able to tell them when it's going to be in stock. So what are your lead times? If they wanted it for next month, are you going to be able to ship to them in time? And or if they're going to order 1,000 units, does that take another 4 months? So being a buyer, they need to be able to plan out their assortments, and bigger the chain, the further out in advance they're planning. So if you're hoping for a 5,000 unit order, I think it's pretty well understood that that probably won't ship at the soonest, like 90 days or 6 months, because they're planning that far in advance. But the smaller the order, the sooner you should be able to ship. So we keep everything in stock at Soda Clothing, so everything ships at once. So I am analyzing my sales, and all of our different products have different lead times, but I know what they are. So if my lead time is 4 weeks, I try and keep 6 weeks on hand. If my lead time is 3 months, then I've got to keep 4 months on hand, because I've got to account for that lead time and when I can get my replenishment order back in stock. So if you don't have your product in stock, you've got to be able to talk to when it's going to ship, and when do you need a purchase order by, and how long after that is it going to ship. That's your lead time. Finally, I would just be as honest as you can when you're talking to your customers. If they want to know where it's manufactured, you should have that information. If they want to know if you're decorating it yourself, or if you're manufacturing yourself, or if you're working with a third party, let them know, because they might not have an order for you right away, but based off all the information that you gave them, they might have an order for you 3 months down the road, and things could have changed. So if you're like, well, at that time I did have this in stock, but now I'm out and I'm working on getting fabric, so it'll be another 6 months before it comes in stock, and now you can order here. But if they kind of know how your business works from the get-go, then in their head, as they're planning their assortment, they can say, oh, I can go to so-and-so for this because she always has these leggings in stock, or I know where she can get some great American-made leggings. And then she'll call you up, say like, what's your deal on this? Do you have this in stock? When can I get it? And you go from there. I guess a lot of orders won't happen right away, and it's kind of a long game, which can be disheartening, but the more you're selling, the more you're hedging your bets that someone's gonna remember you down the line for another assortment. Another thing about selling, and this can maybe be more of a personal preference, is from my experiences, I don't like to be checked in on. Some people will need that, but me personally, if I don't have an order for you, then you're not going to hear from me. But as soon as I do have an order for you, you will hear from me. So unless things have changed within your assortment and there's something that I should know about, please tell me. But if you're just like, hey, I'm just checking in to see if you saw my catalog, chances are I did see it and it's in my mind, but I don't have anything for you. But as soon as I do, I will. So that's probably a personal thing. 50% of the time you should check in on it. 50% of the time you shouldn't. I don't like to be checked in on. But I'm also not a full-time salesperson, so that might not be the best advice. The next things that I would talk about when working with your customers is communication, as far as when problems come up. So as soon as a problem does come up, I would be in communication with any party that problem's affecting. So let's just say if something's late, if someone placed an order for your stuff and it's supposed to ship 11/1, but you just got word that it's not coming due 11/2, I would tell your customer right away, hey, I'm just letting you know this order is not going to ship for another 3 days. If it's something small like that, it's just nice to know, and there shouldn't be a reason why that person would cancel the order. But if it ends up being a bigger problem and things are maybe more than 15 to 30 days late, they might want to cancel the order. So work with them and make sure to bring up, talk through the problems, but also talk through a solution. If you're afraid that the problem that came up is going to affect the order and whether or not they're going to cancel it, come up with a solution and say, like, I know this is 20 or 2 months late. We can change it to another fabric, or whatever you wanted, I just can't get in stock, but I have this next bestseller that could work for you. So I guess the hardest part is when you have hot sellers and you're trying to get back in stock to them, and you place the order, and then like a week before it's supposed to ship, they're like, hey, I don't have anything for you. And you're like, gosh, like that's my best selling sweatshirt. What am I going to do? I would really like for them to say, I don't have this sweatshirt for you, but I have this sweatshirt, which looks very similar. It's a little bit different in this way and that way, but I think it should still work for you. And then I'm like, great, let's get it on the floor. Because when I have something that's hot selling, I'm going to look to do different variations and iterations in it so that, especially if I can't keep it in stock, then I'm just losing sales. But if I can bring in other items that are very similar, then I can spread the sales out a little bit, and I should be able to capture any sales that wouldn't have happened because that one particular item was out of stock. So I guess it's just all about managing different fires that are gonna come up, and how you can best capture a good thing and what's happening. So good communication, being honest, but also coming up with solutions if it is a big problem. Sorry if that was a little bit all over the place. I think when it comes to retail selling and buying and planning, there's a lot of different things to be considered. Thanks for listening. I hope you learned something. And if you have any questions after the fact, I'd be happy to answer them. Bye.